Now, that's a Grimlock. And this is a Wheelie. Welcome back to my channel. In today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at Transformers Studio Series 86, Leader Class, Grimlock, and Autobot, Wheelie. And if you're new around here, please remember to subscribe to my channel, leave a like, and leave a comment. And with that, let's get started. And we're going to start with the box first. And here we have Grimlock and Wheelie here in this nice artwork here. It looks really, really cool. And that is from when they are storming the Pit of Judgment to protect Cup and Hot Rod from the Sharkticons and the Judge, or Judges. And on the side, we got the 86. We got that box art again on the side. This box is really huge. And we got the Mockery of Justice. We got Grimlock there, 24 steps. You get him in a robot mode or dinobot mode. I think that's pretty cool. And Wheelie obviously can ride on the back of Grimlock, which is pretty cool. And there's that backdrop of them storming the Pit of Judgment there to help out Cup and Hot Rod. And we will take a look at that as well. I think that's pretty cool. This backdrop is actually something interesting to maybe even keep. And on the other side, we just got the 86 there. We got Wheelie and Grimlock there as well. And then obviously Takara, Generations, Transformers the movie. And here we have Grimlock out of the box and still in robot mode. And I'm going to take a look at his blaster real fast here. And I like the molded detail. I like the two tabs here that I'll add to the back of his Dinobot mode for storage. And then on the other side, it's just a nice molded detail. Overall, the weapon looks pretty cool. And the only other thing I can find to where you could store this in robot mode if you don't want to put the weapon in his hand would be to take this piece right here, like this molded spot here, like it has that, and you would just tab it to his arm, like right here. It'll just hang right there off his back. I looked at the rest of the figure trying to find something, and that's the only thing I can come up with. I don't know if I'd really recommend this, because then you gotta pull this off, and it does not take the paint off or anything like that. But that's just something I found out, unless it's in the instruction book, because I can't find it. But mainly, it's just for this. And also, he is blast effect compatible with his weapon. And as you can see, his head is on a ball joint. It can do a full 360. I think that's pretty cool. I like the head sculpt. It is so G1. I like how they did the chest there with the Autobot symbol in the inside like that with this black clear plastic over it. I think that looks really, really cool. I do like this gold look. It looks really sharp. I do like the gold continuing for his Dinobot feet, which in this part would be his hands. And then you can also have the articulation like in the G1 toy to do the same thing with this. I like the silver paint here, the grayness. It definitely captured the G1 toy big time, and did obviously some huge updates to it. But overall, the red paint down here looks good. G1, we got the black and the legs, and then down here you got some different color and everything, which does match him from the movie very closely. And then this is where it gets a little weird. He does have, I'm just going to move this piece back, and I'll explain all that in a second here. He has double jointed, it's awkward because it's one's for Dinobot mode and one is for robot mode. So depending on what you're doing, you know, you got the elbow there and you get more than 90 degrees for robot mode, and if you need to bend his arm back and looks like he's been busted up in battle, well then he has a broken arm now, but it's technically not. So you just hold your thumb there, get that in position, and it just all goes back into place. That's pretty cool. The other thing is, he is on ratchets for his shoulder, and you can do a full 360 by moving this out of the way, and you can return this then. I like how they were able to do that, but that's also due to the transformation, just like his G1 counterpart. For his shoulder, he does have another, how could I put it? It's on another type of, it's all on one ratchet there. So he's able to do these both movements here, one for robot mode and one for dinobot mode. I think that's pretty cool. And one other thing, we're going to lift up, get these toes out of the way from dinobot mode, and he does have wrist articulation. I can only get mine to turn about, okay, it does go all the way. They're just really stiff. So yes, you can get that wrist articulation right there, but there's nothing for the fingers, and I was hoping they would have gave him movable fingers since they were going all out on this figure, but hey, it's okay though. Overall, I still think this figure's awesome. Next up is, we're just gonna move his arm out of the way, depending on which mode he's in, and he is going to be able to do the full kicks. He's going to get a full 90-degree bend. He does have some really big feet, but that's due to the transformation. And also, what they still were able to add is ankle tilt, and a lot of ankle tilt. So they made sure this guy is very posable. Waist articulation, he can do a full 360 there, and I'm surprised they were able to get that in there for this. And also, one other thing, I'm going to bring his shoulder down, and usually you angle him about something like this, you know, that's how he looks roughly, and you can adjust them. You can go up, you can go down, you can make him look like he's, I don't know, Batman or something, you know, adjusting his cape or whatever, because, okay, bad example, but what I'm trying to get at is they put it back here on this piece right here, and it's on, you know, it's pinned in like that, and you can just turn it like this, and then they have this piece here that, and it's also on a pin. Here's that pin right there, so you can go up and down and stuff like that. Now this side is pretty tight, and I think it's this one. This one's my loose one of the two, so, but that's not a deal breaker. That's just the way they did it. And he does have, the way they did his knees in there, there's a tab, and excuse me, that's just the way, you know, when a transformation, there's a peg there, I'll go tab in to go for transformation, and he can extend in more like that, but that's for him to like stand, his legs stand back, and he's like leaning forward like so. But if you don't want him doing that, you can adjust that, get him like the position you want. And for some size comparisons, I have Siege Ultra Magnus, just to give an idea how much taller Grimlock is in robot mode. Optimus Primal from Kingdom. Oh man, Netflix Bumblebee. And Earthrise Thrust. And now we're going to take a look at Wheelie, and overall he does have some articulation. He does look movie accurate. He just doesn't have full mobility, like his elbow's stuck right there. He does have his, oh god, I can't think of what this thing is, his slingshot, there we go, and that does come out of his hand. I don't know why it would, because if you lose this piece, it makes him look like, here, I'll take it out, like, what is he doing? He's like pointing at his empty hand like he lost it, like he's about to cry or something like that. So there is that, and then he can squat. He's squatting, he's sitting, and there's more to that because this piece right here, this hole right here, and this hole right here is where he will sit on Dinobot, just like Optimus Prime did when what was that, the 4th movie when Optimus Prime sat on Grimlock. Oh wait a minute, I got something for that. And yes, there it is. There's the statue of the movie that you can buy, and I got that like dirt cheap because nobody bought this movie because it sucked. There, I'm moving on, and that's not Grimlock. All right, back from those something so terrible we just looked at, but now we're back to something that's actually really cool. And God, even Wheelie's better than that. And that's saying a lot. Let's see. So yeah, he does squat. He does have this tab here. You just sit up on Grimlock's shoulder if I can. Okay, this is gonna be one of those deals. There we go. So now he can sit up on Grimlock's shoulder, which you can't see because it just makes him even taller. There we go. And there we go. So now you can slingshot right off of his shoulder like that. I think that looks pretty good. And now we're going to start the transformation. And you can already go ahead, fold in his hands. Make sure they're lined up perfectly for this. Just like that. Then you're going to come down here to his legs. You're going to fold these down. Really easy. Then you're going to unfold these out. Just like that. And then, let's see here. Just like that. Now, if I remember correctly, which I do, get the other one first. After that, you're going to take his leg and then fold it. And then this one as well. Now, there is a tab. You can decide when you want to tab this up. Let me see, where's the hole? Right there. There's one little tab for this whole, for both of his legs to hold together. And I just think, I'm going to just lift his head up a little bit. And I just think they should have added one more tab in here to help extra, like a little extra support. And now you're going to line up, let's see, these two holes here into these two plastic pieces right here. They stick out. So you just kind of just fold, fold, fold. And this is going to come apart because that one tab alone doesn't work. That would be my only gripe through this whole transformation. Yes, there is a tab right there for that. I just don't think that works that great. I really don't. Alright, so now you're going to fold the tail down just like that. I'm going to redo that. Let's do it this way. Just like that. And then you're going to straighten that out. Make sure it's all flush. Bring that in. And there's a tab right there. Alright, you got to make sure all this stays together or it's going to all start to fall apart. And then the other thing is there is a tab right down here for the tail as well. Hold this all together because this piece helps hold this all together. You're going to pull on his chest. It's really simple. It's just like the G1 toy. It's on this hinge here. See how this all folds? It's pretty simple. And then it locks in. That bottom piece is going to lock in and hold this whole bottom half together, which it needs. And then you're going to remember these things flap a little bit like wings. So before you do that, put your thumb under, finger on top for support for the head. You do that. But my thing is, it feels like it wants to go forward because of the ball joint. I turn his head around. I don't know if it's on the instructions or not, but it's more secure because you're going to hold like this and then click and then just bring his head down. That'll protect the ball joint a little bit more because if you don't and that breaks, your SOL on how to fix that. But overall, for 24 steps, it isn't that bad. And then there's that tab there for that hole there. So you just untab that. But with this transformation already done, that's just the way it's going to be. So his neck will click in, just like that, and he's done. And here we have Grimlock, and I'm taking a look at his head sculpt first for Dinobot mode, for his T-Rex head. And he does have articulation, so he can open and close his mouth. There is a tab. It's so hard to see. There we go, right there. And I believe it is blast effect compatible. So he can shoot fire from his mouth. Okay, so there's that. Then he can adjust his head up and down. And here's the cool thing. I'm going to move his arms out of the way. He can turn his head a full stiff, but it works 360. And then his arms, which I find they gave him a lot of more articulation than what they did in the previous toys that they made him. He can even come up and put his hand on the bottom part of his jaw. I think that's pretty cool. So there's that. But overall, this figure is really, really cool. Just from, even at first glance, the gold on his neck looks really, really good. His head sculpt with the blue eyes there. The only thing is, I hope third party makes like something to cover these screws up, like a little thing. They've done that for what is it? The Micro Masters or Battle Masters, whatever they're called. Those guys. There's little plugs they made just to put them in, and it just covers it up, and you don't even know. So this side has all the screws, but on this side it's perfect. So somehow they got to be able to come up with something to help out. So I like the molded detail. I like the molded detail here on the gold. I think that looks really, really nice. We're going to look at it from this angle because it takes the screws away. We have the red there. We have the Autobot symbol there. Nice G1 touch there. He has a lot of articulation in his arms. It can almost do a full 360, but I'm not going to attempt because these things are on these ball joints, and they're very thin arms, but I don't mean that in a bad way. But basically, he can get his hands to come up here like this high, and that's pretty cool. Impressive for a T-Rex, because real T-Rex can't do that. So I like how they gave him some flexibility here and gave him some elbow joints as well. I think that was a nice touch. Then coming down here, we got more of that, gray color we did see. Here is Grimlock's robot arm. Now it's his T-Rex leg, and you can still do a bicep swivel, which is now like a thigh swivel instead. I think that's pretty cool. So he can get in some pretty good poses. And then at the end, we got the tail. We got the nice colors here that we've seen from his feet. Yeah, it's his feet. Yeah, sorry, I had to think about that because he's in a different mode now. But overall, I think it looks fantastic. And like I said, if you find this on the shelf, pick it up. And here's a size comparison of that Age of Extinction statue with Optimus Prime riding Grimlock. And here we have Studio Series 86 Grimlock with Wheelie on top. And my God, is that a difference. And yeah. Another size comparison here is Netflix Bumblebee next to Dinobot Grimlock. Earthrise Thrust. Kingdom Primal. And I gotta reach further back to grab Ultra Magnus. Yeah, let's get him in there. And let's see. So, okay, well, with the smoke, with his little stacks on his shoulders, yes, that's higher than Grimlock's head. And it's not by much. But if I tilt Grimlock's head up, like to tilt up his nose, he's higher. So, Grimlock is still taller. And one more thing, I just want to bring him up closer, and this is more for a wheelie if you're wondering how to get him attached. There's the two tabs, well, one tab here and the other tab right on the other side, and you take this hole here and the other one on the other side. You just line them up, so there's one, and you just kind of get him over the squat, and then he's secure. He's not going to fall off. I'm really shaking him now. He's not going nowhere. So there's that. Now, the other thing, his G1 blaster. Now, remember there are these two tabs right here. There's 2 holes right here, and oh, the other way. They'll just line up and you put them in. The only thing I noticed with this, it's kind of hard to get it on there, but once you get it on there, then it's secure. My final thoughts on Transformers Studio Series 86, Transformers the movie, Leader Class, Leader of the Dinobots, Grimlock, and Autobot Wheelie. Overall, this figure is way beyond my expectations of what we were going to get. I literally thought I was going to get something that just wasn't going to work out. It looked, one thing is it looks good, and one thing is different when you get it in hand, and this figure is awesome. And as you can see, he comes with his G1 blaster. I don't remember him using it in the movie, but maybe he did. And the only other thing that he didn't come with would be his sword, but as I definitely can recall that he didn't use that in the movie, so that's why we didn't get it. They were picking scenes from the movie and trying to recreate them with these backdrops as well, as he's trying to storm the courtroom to save Cup and Hot Rod and Spike as well from being eaten by the Sharkticons. So I understand what they were going for, and I think they pulled it off, at least with this figure so far that I got the review, and I'm very, like I said, I'm very impressed. This is, to me, is a perfect figure. It doesn't have as much weight to it as I was expecting it for being so big and imposing, like with the size. But I mean, if this thing's even bigger than Ultra Magnus, it's pretty impressive. And that's all I really got for this review. So I'm happy with my purchase, and luckily for me, I actually bought 2 of them at the same time. If you're following me on Instagram, you would know that, and you should go over there if you haven't and start following me there, because I do Transformer hunts and just take pictures of what I find and see if I can help anybody else out. And that's about it. So, with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll be bringing more Transformer content very soon. Oh, and one more thing. I forgot. Here is Transformers Combiner Wars. I don't even know what class this thing is. Grimlock. He has to look up, and he can't even look at eye to him.